Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cat's Track. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing this with your friends. Today's episode is with my dear friend, Carrie Gour. Carrie was born in Peace River, Alberta, and she's a single parent of twin 9-year-olds, Cash and Georgia. She tells me that they are the absolute loves of her life. They are funny, brilliant, and kind, and she feels lucky they chose her because being a mom is the hardest and best thing that she's ever done, and she's a great mom. Besides Carrie's loved one, she's extremely passionate about her business that she co-founded with Beth Thompson called PwrSwitch. It is a software platform inspired by her own experience with the wildly inadequate status quo of mobile evidence capture for legal purposes. Friends, you'll find her full bio attached. Carrie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, for sure. I can't wait. I'm excited. Are you ready for the questions we sent you?
I'm ready.
Perfect.
Yeah, right. And I just want to add, I really appreciated the opportunity to think about some of these things. So, yeah, thank you.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad. A lot of people are saying that. I'm glad. It was actually Stan Peak, my coach, who recommended some of the questions. So, kudos out to Stan.
Good. Share the love.
Excellent. So, the first one being, what's been your greatest challenge in the last few months?
Well, as we were talking before sort of you hit the record button, the biggest challenge for me is one that so many of us are facing, and that is just trying to balance the administration and maintenance of my life and house with parenting and periodic homeschool and trying to work full-time and build a business at the same time. So as an example, the very first case of COVID in any elementary school in Calgary happened to not just be in my kids' school, but in my daughter's class. Mm-hmm. So 2 weeks into school, she was now quarantining and homeschooling full-time for 2 weeks. Oh. Yesterday, my son had a scratchy throat. Like that turned into half a day spent trying to homeschool and parent, and parent and work. And that's, 2.5 hours of productivity lost in my workday. And here's the thing, as a kind of a type A-ish person, yeah. I am not accustomed to doing so many things so badly. and doing them kind of what I would consider half-assed. But here's the thing for every kind of parent who's working out there is that parenting is a full job and teaching is a full-time job and working is a full-time job. And I could also argue that kind of keeping your home and life from falling into chaos is also a full-time job. So for myself, rather than sort of beating myself up about doing those things half-assed, those are 4 jobs.
Yeah.
My goal should be like quarter-assing.
Oh, right?
Wow. And then calling that a win, because it's really hard. The pandemic, there's been lots written about how it's hit parents and women hardest. And, as a single parent and a woman, I feel that. So that's no been doubt. The biggest challenge by far.
Can't imagine. Hats off to all parents.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next one, the 3 things that you'd like to share with us today.
So these are sort of 3 things that really extend directly from my own life and experience. And the first thing that I would want to say to people is you can do that which you think you cannot do. You can leave the relationship, the job, the life. You can pursue the impossible dream. And I'm really living proof of that on multiple counts. I'm an artist, I would say, at heart. And with what I now recognize is great audacity, I founded a tech company. And, when people think, why doesn't somebody create that? Or why doesn't somebody solve that problem? Well, for me, I realized I am somebody.
Yeah.
And everybody is somebody. And with PwrSwitch, Beth and I really created the thing that we needed when we were each in a really terrible place, legally and otherwise, which would have changed a lot of things for us. And just sort of to follow on that idea, I would just say, like, don't worry about what you don't know.
Yeah.
I say to myself a lot, and it gets me through a lot, that I have not known things before and gotten over it.
Yeah.
We all have the capacity to learn. But yeah, like, just to not worry about that piece. And maybe sort of further to that, in an art of war kind of way, what you think is your greatest weakness can also be your greatest strength.
Agreed.
And again, it is not uncommon, and Beth will attest all day long, for me to be the least technically capable person in any room. And yet, I think I have our team convinced that that is actually our superpower, because I represent the average user. Like,
Right.
if Carrie can't figure it out, forget it. It's not going to pass the test.
Yeah.
So this idea, right?
Yeah.
Just you can do all the things that you think you can't.
I love it. So profound.
Yeah, well, it really has been for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the second thing I would say is, and again, totally guilty of this, is to start before you're ready, and to just start. And I think that women especially, and I can speak for myself, really, it's easy for us to get stuck in researching and analyzing over taking action. And I think sometimes we sort of think things to death. And part of this is cultural, I think, by which I mean the stakes seem higher. As a woman, there seems to be fewer chances to fail, or there's more judgment if we do. Whether that's real or perceived really doesn't matter in sort of in execution. But really, I would say, for the most part, women want to make sure we know all the things before making a move. And men just do this less. So, for example, if you have a group of girls and a group of boys who both think they're going to start a lemonade stand, the girls will worry about the sign and, oh, should we serve peach lemonade or lemon lemonade, and how much should we charge? Whereas the boys will be like, put out a folding table and put the peach lemonade out and find out nobody buys it and go, let's try something else. And you're actively sort of learning and iterating. Yeah, I guess I would say ultimately that some thinking is necessary, but thinking doesn't put us closer to our goals. Action does. And sometimes the only thing really standing between you and your goals is just the confidence to start. Yeah.
Fire, aim, ready.
Right? There's some of that for sure. And I feel like I continue to learn that lesson.
Awesome. I wonder, Carrie, if it's more of if maybe it's not, maybe it is, but I wonder if it's more masculine, feminine, because I'm actually thinking of all the people in my life. I'm actually more the one with the throw the table up and put the pink on it out.
Right.
So I wonder if it's because I'm pretty high testosterone, I think so.
Right.
Right.
I'm growing my testosterone. Mother is a necessity of invention, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Your third.
No. I don't think I'm making a sweeping generalization, but and obviously you are exceptional.
I don't know about that word.
I think anybody who knows you would not disagree with me.
So fun.
Yeah. And the third thing really for me is a bit of an extension of this whole COVID moment that we're in. And that is really just to be, it sounds trite, but I really mean it, is just to be kind to one another. For me, kindness has really become the most valuable virtue, both in my personal and my professional life. And particularly in this pandemic, I think it's important for us to be self-consciously kind, like to actively work at it. So there's a lot of data that shows that stress and uncertainty cause an increase in bad behavior
Yeah.
in us. And these are nothing if not stressful and uncertain times. So I don't mean, when I say be kind, I don't mean be a pushover and not have boundaries. I really mean that it's possible to be good and do good, even in the face of seemingly impossible obstacles,
Yeah.
whether those are financial or emotional or psychological or otherwise. And certainly as a parent and a worker bee, it's like that's a test constantly.
For sure.
Do good and be good in the face of pretty overt obstacles in that sort of Maslow's hierarchy way, right? We're talking about survival stuff for a lot of us. But I don't know, that, you know, we're in this, what feels like an exceptionally divisive cultural moment,
Yes.
politically and otherwise. And I guess I think of sort of be the change that you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
And what I want to see in the world is more kindness and respect. And so, yeah, I mean, just like culture filters from the top, it's like I feel like we're getting this sort of divisiveness all over on us.
Yeah, we are.
And yeah, and we as individuals have the power to turn that on its head.
I agree. Wow. Wow. I absolutely love everything you had to say. Every time you started another phrase, I had goosebumps. You're
Aw.
amazing. Always so profound and optimistic, positive. Thank you so much. What's your legacy, good news, or anything you'd like to close? Any story that you want to finish with?
Boy, well, I can tell you what I hope my legacy is. I mean, given that we are in this crisis for at least another year, if not longer, by its conclusion, my hope is that I have created a successful company that helps people in conflict resolve their disputes from a place of truth and empowerment, whether that's organizational or individual. Failing that, I hope my legacy is that I persevere to the end. And in terms of the opportunity, which makes me think of, I saw the last interview that you did, I saw was with Bobby Rissette.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she talked about, it's like being so proud of the fact that she just dug in and has persevered. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I feel that.
Yeah.
In terms of the opportunity of this moment, and it's something I mentioned to you before, I can't help but think we're in this kind of Darwinian moment. And what I mean by that is Darwin famously observed that with animals, that it's not the strongest or smartest who survive, but those who can most easily adapt to change.
Whew.
And sort of to put a positive lens on this impossible situation, the exciting opportunity, I think, is for us to be responsive versus reactive. And it's really an invitation to rethink how we've built the world and how we define success individually and as organizations, as collectively. The pandemic is really, it sounds dramatic, but I think it's true, is really a time of reckoning for us, culturally, but also in terms of the economy and just the way we come together, politically and otherwise. So those businesses and individuals who are able to adapt, and survive will thrive.
Exactly.
And those who dig in, trying to maintain and recreate the status quo, not so much.
No.
Right? And there's pain in that.
Yeah, there is.
Pain in that.
To let that go.
But there's also opportunity.
I agree. Yeah. You're amazing.
Thank you. I think you're amazing. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And
yes,
all the best with you and the kids and managing all the things that you've got going on. I'm sending many blessings your way.
Oh, thank you. And blessings back. Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you. Everyone, that was Carrie Gour with PwrSwitch. Check out her really cool business. And if you know anybody that's going through some tough times where they need they're going through legal situation, whatever, please send them to PwrSwitch for sure. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for joining us on Cat's Track. We'll see you next time.